The biggest question about Utah has been the passing game. Can you be a more dynamic offense than what you were last year? And the answer to that was always going to be yes, with Cam Rising coming back, who is obviously one of the best quarterbacks in college football, returning based on what he's done in the past. We already laid out not a lot of guys back-to-back conference championships. And I know he's getting up there in age, but still a guy who's capable of executing. And we just saw a lot of older quarterbacks have a lot of success this past season. But he didn't have his number one guy this year. That was Brant Kuithe. It took a while for him to put it out, but Brant Kuithe is officially coming back. When you are talking about Brant Kuithe, you are talking about a guy who the last time he was healthy for an entire season had over 600 yards. He had over 600 yards with not just Cam Rising, but all the way back in 2019. Did it with Tyler Huntley too. And yes, he only had 206 yards in 2022, but he only got to play in 4 games. 3 of those were absolute blowouts, and one of those was against the Florida Gators, where he went over 100 yards in the game. And outside Anthony Richardson, looked like the best player on the field. This is one of the best tight ends in college football, and Utah getting him back is absolutely massive, Drake.
Brant Kuithe is 24 years old. By the end of next season, he will be approaching his 25th birthday. He is getting close to being able to rent a car. He's close.
He's older than you and I, correct?
Yes, almost combined, I think. Yes. He is almost off his parents' insurance. He is old. But in college football this year, when you looked at who went to New York for the Heisman, I don't think Brant Kuithe will, but those guys were old. That's the trend of college football now. The old guys are winning. And it's the reason, this is a fun little aside here, it's the reason I think most teams are opting to go with the 4th-year guy from Western Kentucky to move into their program rather than the 18-year-old out of high school. It makes sense, and Brant Kuithe is a part of that. Now, there is no conversation to me about Brant Kuithe without talking about Cam Rising. Those two things work in tandem with one another. If one is off, if one doesn't exist, I think the other is rendered much less effective. Not ineffective, but much less effective, right? Brant Kuithe is going to be the favorite target. He should be. If Cam Rising is 100% healthy, Utah's the most dangerous team in the Big 12, the most dangerous team in the Big 12. Here is the big problem that I think a lot of people are going to overlook, but we have to, objectively, as someone who covers all teams, we have to understand these are two guys in Cam Rising and Brant Kuithe who haven't played football in a long, long time. Is that going to affect? Look, hey, Michael Penix Jr., same thing. He didn't play a lot of football. He was hurt every year, came back and could have won the Heisman Trophy. I think Cam Rising can do that. But I was holding out on Michael Penix Jr. through week 5 because I didn't know yet. Like, anybody can get hurt. I'm not waiting on one of the two to get hurt. I'm waiting to see, are they 100%? Do they bring the same moxie? Do they bring the same stuff? Do they bring the same dangerous aura to the Utah offense that was so needed? I think Utah, I know Utah is better than their record this season. I know they are if healthy. That's not an argument. It's not an argument, but it's that if right there that I circle and I can't erase until I see it, until I see these two guys going at it. I know what the potential is. I know what the ceiling is. But is it going to be their game 1? We don't know that.
You're absolutely right. As much as and the only thing I was pushing back.
Hear that? Locked On Utes fans?
I was pushing back on early when you were saying Cam needed Brant. I was just saying that Cam actually just needs an elite tight end because when it wasn't Brant, it was Dalton Kincaid. Right. Which is where we can get into some of the tight end depth that Utah has. It's going to be really exciting.
And I don't think Dalton Kincaid's going to be suiting up for Utah next season.
Unfortunately not. He's playing really well for the Buffalo Bills.
He is. Yeah.
So it's been fun to watch that. But when you're talking about Cam, it is crazy to think like he has not played a football game since January 1st, 2023. So by the time the season rolls around, that's like, whoa. And Utah's first game is August 29th. That means if Brant Kuithe plays in that game, which he absolutely should, obviously, all the health concerns at that point should be out the window. Yeah. Brant will have not played in a game in almost 2 years. That's an incredibly long time. And there will be questions then, okay, how fast, how explosive, how all these things, how is he going to do? So those are big what ifs that are going to be very interesting to see. But you also made a good point bringing up a Michael Penix, right? He came back from those injuries and looked exceptionally good. I think Cam and Brant both should be able to do that, but it's going to be interesting to see, Drake.
Me, front row. I'm raising my hand.
Yeah, I got you.
I don't think it's crazy to believe that there could be a Michael Penix Jr. kind of leap this year at the quarterback position for Utah. That is not something that there were some people
what they had. Yeah.
Some people like, I don't know what Cam Rising could be what Michael Penix was. I think he could be better. I think he could be because
Now you're going to make the Utah fans turn on me in a second.
At the peak of where we saw Cam Rising, I think is better than the peak that we saw from Michael Penix Jr. at Indiana. I think it is.
Indiana. Yeah.
But that's all. That's the Met. That's what we had of Michael. We saw him in Indiana. Thought, oh, what could he be if he stayed healthy? I think Cam Rising showed us more before getting hurt than Michael Penix Jr. did. So not only is this a very logical comparison, I think Cam Rising could be better. I'm just saying it. I'm just saying that. I'm just putting it out there.
See, you're doing a lot of good work today to put yourself on the good side of Utah fans. I want to give you that first before I say this. I think the big difference I look to is just the massive difference in Kalen DeBoer, Washington, those receivers, where Penix was at Indiana, then going there versus Utah in a similar system. Utah also they're going to need to add some more receivers if they want to have that kind of thing. But this is a guy we've seen in Cam Rising who went toe to toe with Caleb Williams, has had big moments, made big plays, made big throws. So I definitely see what you're talking about in terms of having just an incredible season. What's awesome about Brant coming back is, look, I can't tell every single college tight end room what they look like, but I'm gonna be honest. I have it hard pressed to believe there is a group of 3 tight ends in college football right now with a proven track record better than Brant Kuithe. He already said what he did. Carson Ryan comes over from UCLA. He had 13 catches with 205 yards with Dante Moore and all those other Bruins as quarterbacks. Dante Moore was so not good, basically. He agreed to be a backup at Oregon for this year, so I think that's worth bearing in mind. And Landon King, I know he only had just over 150 yards, but he barely got to play the first half of the year because Thomas Yasmin was in there. And obviously Utah, just in general, passing game wise, was limited with Bryson Barnes, as we kind of discussed too. So when you're talking about these 3 tight ends, we could be talking about a situation. Once again, we're back in 2021. Kuithe and Kincaid both over 500 yards, finished first and third in receiving yards. I think some combination of Kuithe, Ryan, and King could do that. And I expect all 3 of these guys to have a legit chance to be Utah's top 5 or top 6 of receiving leaders for Utah. This is a fantastic tight end room, and no one has used tight ends in college football. Or I shouldn't say no one, but very few schools have used tight end better as well as Utah has in the last few years. So I'm really fired up about the potential of these tight ends in Andy Ludwig's offense.
Jared Wiley, TCU, gone. Benson at Kansas State, gone. Isaac Rex, BYU, gone. Cole Taylor's back for West Virginia. He's going to be pretty good. But yeah, there's no argument. The best tight ends, the best of the best in the Big 12 are all going away, aside from maybe Cole Taylor. And Utah could boast 3 of them. Now the struggle is you can't really put 3 tight ends on the field at the same time. So you're going to have to try to piece together who's going to be out there where. But I really do. I played tight end when I played football. So I have an affinity for the position. First one in, last one out. These are the kind of guys you let date your daughter. They play the game the right way. The tight end is always that guy. You're just like, you know what? That's a football player right there. Yeah. It's the flashy fullback is what it is. And if you've got 3 of them, including Brant Kuithe, who could be he could be a Mackey Award winner. When you have that in your arsenal for Utah, I don't think you need. Now, I know you and I talked off the air about whether or not Utah goes and gets an additional receiver to try to anchor the offense. If you use the tight end strategically enough, you don't have. If you can develop not necessarily a ground and pound, but a pro style. Look at the Kansas City Chiefs. They're still going to the playoffs. They have 1 pass catcher, and it's the tight end Travis Kelce. I don't know if anybody on Utah's roster is going to be Travis Kelce, but if utilized in that way, if you take, and a lot of high school coaches do this, they say, all right, here's the group of athletes I've been given this year. Here's where I tweak the offense to meet where our program is. If we don't have the big bodies, we don't ground and pound, we throw the football, and vice versa. For Utah, understand your personnel, utilize tight end, and things will go well for the Utes.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting to see if Utah is able to do that in the type of year that Bram and Cam can have together. Going to be interesting to see how it all plays out, and their connection is going to be paramount to Utah's success in 2024. And when you're talking about this Utah team's success in 2024, there's a lot of sites that have been giving Utah a lot of hype, and that is something I want to dive into with all of you in one moment. Drake, did you want to add one more thing, or are you saying?
Nope, I'm just saying I'm one of those sites.
Okay, good. Yes, let's make sure that is what we're going to do. Last time you raised your hand, you had something to add. So you're throwing me off. We're going to be for a loop. Yeah, we're going to be diving into all of that in one moment. But first, I want to talk to all of you about another sponsor of today's episode of Locked On Utes. It is our glorious friends at Game Time. You shouldn't have to worry when you're buying tickets to your next big event. Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you. They have great last-minute deals, all-in-price views from your seats, and their best price guarantee. Game Time truly takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. They have fantastic features like last-minute tickets, flash deals, zone deals. It's super easy to navigate the website too, and they have views from your seat so you know exactly what kind of a deal you're getting when you make this ticket investment. Their low-price guarantee, event cancellation, and job loss protection are all critical pieces. I mentioned that low price guarantee. It's called the Game Time guarantee, and it means you'll always get the best price if you find tickets in the same section and row for less. Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. So you can download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code Locked On for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON with the L and the O in that capitalized for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.